Hello and welcome to YouTube for you. So we are working on ladder climbing tutorial series, and so far we have set up this functionality to our character, that our character perform move up, move down functionality, and also exit from ladder up and ladder down, as you guys can see. So in this tutorial we will set up the functionality for entering to ladder climbing state from top. For example, if we are here and press any keyboard key, we can perform the functionality of ladder climbing. So let's get started, guys. So now I'm gonna open my character blueprint and create a function over here and call this ladder enter top, and from this function we will use sphere trace by channel. For the start and end location, I'm gonna get my actor location, and I'm gonna subtract, let's subtract 250 units from my Z, and this will be my start location. And for my end location, I'm gonna get my actor rotation, get the forward vector, multiply the forward vector with -90, and this will be my end location. The radius will be 10, and I'm gonna set the draw debug type to for duration. So let's call this function over here. When we press E keyboard, if we are not able to climb from bottom, then we will call this function ladder enter top. So if the result of ladder climbing from top or from bottom is false, then we will call this function ladder enter from top. So now let's set the functionality over here. I'm gonna grab my player start and place it over here. So as you guys can see, when I press E keyboard, this is sphere trace that we have set up over here. So I think this is way too low. We need to subtract 180 units. This will be fine. Yes, so it is working. So I'm gonna change something over here. For the start location, I'm gonna add some vector. The vector will be our get forward vector of rotation, and multiply the forward vector with 45 and set the pin over here. This is my start location and end location. So now let's check the functionality again. So as you guys can see, now it is properly working fine. So over here, when we press E keyboard, we use the trace channel to ladder that we have set up in our previous tutorial. So from ladder enter top, I'm gonna set the trace channel to ladder instead of visibility, so that it can hit to my ladder blueprint that we have set up. So here is our ladder blueprint. This is simple box collision and a arrow component that we used for ladder start location. So I'm gonna create a new arrow component and call this ladder start location underscore top and set the color to green, like so. So over here I'm gonna select my blueprint. Let's ungroup the actor first, and here is my ladder start location top. I'm gonna move this over here, and from top I'm gonna move this to my last step here, like so. Similarly over here, set this over here. So we need to grab the location of our arrow component that we have set up over here when the trace is successfully hit something. When the trace successfully hit this ladder blueprint, this ladder box collision. When trace properly hit the box collision, we will grab the arrow location of our ladder start location top and move our capsule component to this location. So now let's set up this functionality. So now I'm gonna open my character blueprint, and here is my sphere trace functionality. I'm gonna set up a custom event over here and call this ladder enter top functionality, and copy this node from here and paste it over here, and call this function instead of calling this function ladder enter top functionality, because in our this function we cannot use the move capsule component and perform any delay in this function. So I'm gonna use a custom event so that we can use a proper delay and move component node over into our event graph. So here is my custom event setup. Now I'm gonna use branch and break the hit result. If our trace successfully hit something, then I'm gonna cast this to my ladder, and if cast is successful, I'm gonna grab my ladder start location top. This is our arrow component. Get world transform, split the struct pin, and I'm gonna grab my capsule component, move component 2. So before moving, I'm gonna first grab my character movement, set movement mode, set this to flying. Before setting, I'm gonna set velocity of my character movement component to 0, and then set the movement mode to flying, and then call this move component to, the component will be our capsule component. So for the location, I'm gonna make a vector, and from our ladder start location arrow component, I'm gonna get the world location and break the vector over here, break vector. The x will be this, x and y will be this, and for the z I'm gonna use the get actor location, split the pin, and z will be our actor location. And for the rotation I'm gonna grab the arrow rotation and set the rotation over here. The time will be 0.4 seconds. And now let's check the functionality. So here you guys can see when I press E keyboard, my trace hit successfully and my character moves to the proper location and set its rotation properly. So now we will use the animation montage and use the animation curve values to properly perform our ladder climb animation. So for this I'm gonna go to my content browser, animation. So here is my animation, ladder, enter top. And now we will use our extract root data animation modifier that we have set up in our previous tutorials. This is our extract root motion animation data modifier. So by using this animation data modifier, we will extract our animation data into a curve. I'm gonna add modifier, extract root data modifier, right click and apply modifier. So this is my x, y and z axis are properly set up. So in our previous tutorials we have covered everything in detail about this animation data modifier and these curves. So we will use these curves data values to properly perform our ladder to climb animation from top. Now I'm gonna right click, create animation montage. So here is our animation montage created. I'm gonna set the slot name to ladder climb. So the slot name is also properly working. Now we will set the animation notifiers that we have set up also in our previous tutorials. Skeleton notify, I'm gonna set the start ladder climb over here when we nearly start this animation montage, and when we end this montage over here we will add notify, skeleton notify and end ladder climb like so. Set this over here, and now let's go to our character blueprint, and over here we will use the sequence node. The second pin will goes to move component, and the first pin over here we will play our animation montage that we have set up I'm gonna select my animation montage from entering top and select this over here. So now let's check the functionality again. So you guys can see if I play this in slow-mo, first my character goes there and then perform the move down animation. So now I'm gonna go to my character blueprint. So over in my character blueprint I'm gonna create a new variable and call this ladder climb enter top, and over here before move component I'm gonna set this variable to true, like so. And after this we will set our start ladder climb variable to true. So this is our extra variable that we have created over here. And after setting this variable to true, and when our move component 2 is complete, I'm gonna set the start ladder climb to true. And now I'm gonna go to my animation blueprint. Over here I'm gonna grab my variable that we have created, just ladder climb enter top, and promote this to a variable. So instead of this, I'm gonna go over here and over here when we set the climb montage to true, when our start ladder climb animation notify that we have created over here, when this notify fires, we set the climb montage to true. And when this montage is true, first we will use do once node and set our variable over here, ladder new location and ladder old location. These are our two variables. I'm gonna select all of this, right click and collapse to function, and this will be our ladder exit up functionality that we have set up in our previous tutorials. And now I'm gonna place a branch before this pin and grab my character variable and search for get ladder climb enter top. So if our this variable is true, we will call the functionality of ladder to enter from top, and if our this variable is false, we will call the ladder exit up functionality that we have set up previously. So for entering top animation, here is my function, ladder exit up function. I'm gonna duplicate this function and call this ladder enter top. Open this function, everything will be same. I'm gonna delete these node over here. I'm gonna get my character variable, get actor location. The X and Y will be our X and Y location of our actor, and the Z will be our get actor location plus the difference between our ladder new location and ladder old location. And these are all the functionality we have set up in our previous tutorials. We will use the same functionality over here. And call this function if our ladder climb enter top is true. So here is the flow. When we press E keyboard, if our ladder climb from bottom is not true, then we will check if our ladder enter top functionality is true. If the functionality is true, first we set the ladder climb enter top variable to true, and then move our capsule component to the specific location. And after this, in our animation blueprint, when our animation montage fires from ladder climb entering top, this animation montage will be fired. start ladder climb animation notify is fire. First we will set this climb montage variable to true. When this variable will be true, we will check if our ladder climb enter top variable is true, and if this variable is true, then we will call this function ladder enter top. And now let's check the functionality again. So now I'm gonna go to my animation blueprint, and here you guys can see when our montage is end, then our end ladder climb notify will be fire, and when this notify will be fire, we will set this functionality over here. So instead of setting this functionality, we will use a branch and check if our ladder enter top, ladder climb enter top variable is true, then do not perform this functionality, and if this variable is false, then perform this functionality. And if our this variable is true, ladder climb enter top, first we will set the climb montage to false, and then we will grab our character and set ladder climb enter top to also false. Now we will go to our animation montage, and for our blend out time I'm gonna set this to 0. And now let's go to our character blueprint, and after start ladder climb to true, we will set the start ladder climb temp to also true, so that we can restrict our movement functionality over here. And now let's check the functionality. So here you guys can see my character is now properly entering from top to ladder climbing state, but my Z location is not properly fine. So for fixing our Z location, I'm gonna go to my character blueprint, and over here where we set the Z location to our character location when move component node is fires, now I'm gonna grab my Z location of arrow component and increment add 90 units plus 90 and set this to my Z location. And now let's check the functionality again. So here you guys can see it is now properly working fine, and if you guys feels that the Z location is not properly fine, you just need to change the Z location of our arrow component like so. And now let's check the result. So here you guys can see it is now properly working fine. So I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, and you can also support me on Patreon and gain access to all of these project files and communicate me over there. So thank you guys.